Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I have 3 easy bean dip recipes to show you. I'll start with my classic oil-free hummus, followed by my white bean and Za'atar dip, and last but not least, a sweet treat, my black bean brownie dip. Each recipe comes together in 5 minutes or less, and you can use freshly cooked or canned beans. I'll show you both options today. Let's start with the hummus. I'm showing you how to make this with dried chickpeas, but canned would be fine as well. I'm starting with 2 cups of dried chickpeas that I rinsed and then I soaked overnight. For this recipe, we only need 1 cup of chickpeas, but if I'm going to the trouble of cooking dried beans, I like to make more than I need so that I have extras. Once they've soaked, I rinse them again and put them in my 6-quart Instant Pot. I'm adding 6 cups of water and cooking this at high pressure for 20 minutes. After it's done cooking, I let it natural release, and then I'll transfer it to containers to store in the fridge or the freezer. For this recipe, we're also using the aquafaba, which is the cooking liquid, so I'm saving that in a jar until I'm ready to use it. Fun fact, traditionally hummus is served warm, so if you're making the hummus, you can go ahead and make it right after you've cooked the beans, so it'll be warm and ready to eat. I'm starting by adding a few garlic cloves to my food processor. You could also use granulated garlic, but fresh garlic really will take the flavor to the next level. I like to add this in first and pulse it a couple of times just to get that garlic chopped up so you don't end up with any big garlic chunks in the hummus. Then I'll add my chickpeas. The 1 cup of dried chickpeas equals about 3 cups cooked. So if you're using canned instead, that would be about 2 cans. Try to find chickpeas with no salt added since we are using the aquafaba. Next, I'm adding a teaspoon of cumin and then 2 teaspoons of a salt substitute. I'm using the Salacious salt substitute from Local Spicery. If you prefer to use salt in your cooking, feel free to add as much as you like to taste. I'm also adding about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, but this is optional, and again, add as much as you like to taste. Next, I'm adding 6 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice and 1/2 cup of our aquafaba. You can adjust the amount of aquafaba depending on what texture you like your hummus to be. I find that about 1/2 cup is just right. And finally, this is optional, but I'm adding about 1 tablespoon of tahini. Tahini is very traditional in hummus and gives it a great flavor. Since we're not using oil, this is already a pretty low-fat version of hummus, but if you're restricting the fat even more, feel free to leave out the tahini. Simply blend that up until it's smooth and then it's ready to eat. Hummus is so versatile and it's great to keep in the fridge to make quick meals and snacks. Of course, you could dip warm pita in the hummus, you can use it as a sandwich spread or put it into a burrito, or mix it up with a little vinegar and water to make a salad dressing or a pasta sauce. Next, I'll show you my white bean and Za'atar dip. For this one, I'm using 2 cans of Great Northern beans. Once again, if you wanted to cook them from dried, you could. You'll end up using about 3 cups of cooked beans. I've also made this dip with other kinds of white beans. Each one might have a slightly different flavor, but I've used navy beans and cannellini beans as well. Then I'm adding a heaping tablespoon of Za'atar spice. This is a spice blend that includes sesame seeds, sumac, and other spices. It has a really bright and delicious flavor. Next, I'm adding a tablespoon of mustard. I like to use Dijon mustard, but today all I have on hand is stone ground mustard. Either one works fine. Then I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and just a little bit of date syrup. I'm adding about 1 teaspoon, but you can add more or less to taste. Finally, I'll add 2 to 3 tablespoons of water to blend. I forgot to add the water in at first, so you can start to blend it and then see how much you need to get it to the consistency you like. And then once again, you can use this dip just like with the hummus. It's great for dipping vegetables and pita, or like with the hummus, you could make sandwiches, wraps, salad dressings, and more. And you can serve this immediately, but this dip is even better the next day, so it's great for batch prepping. Finally, I'm showing you my black bean brownie dip. To sweeten this up, I'm using medjool dates. I like to chop the dates up and soak them so that they blend better in my food processor. We'll be using 1 cup of a plant-based milk. I'm using soy milk, but whichever one is your favorite is fine. So I'll go ahead and soak my dates in the plant-based milk for about 15 minutes. I'm using 8 medjool dates that I've chopped up, which equals about 1 cup. So if you're using a different kind of date, you want about a cup's worth. After they've soaked, I'll add the dates and soy milk to the food processor. Then I'm adding 2 cans of black beans that I've drained and rinsed. Next, I have 2 teaspoons of vanilla powder. If you prefer vanilla extract, you can use that, but I love the flavor of the powder. And finally, I'm adding 6 tablespoons of carob powder. I use carob powder for the chocolate flavor because I avoid caffeine, but if you prefer, you could use cacao or cocoa powder. Once again, we'll blend this up until it's smooth, and then it's ready to eat. This chocolatey dip is so delicious and can be used in many different ways. I like to dip fruits like strawberries and apples, but you could also use it for a sweet spread. If you want a lower fat version of a peanut butter and banana, you could use this chocolate spread with banana instead. I love to make that in a whole wheat pita pocket. This dip can also be used as a plant-based icing. We recently tried it out on some whole wheat cupcakes. Bean dips are a great way to make your whole food plant-based lifestyle a little more convenient. They come together so quickly and you can keep them in the fridge all week to make all kinds of different meals. Which recipe are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.